What's up, guys? With Andrew Bone, I'm Mick Gillispie. This is the obviously the digital form of the show that we do each week, and we like to do this pre-show because this is going to air on radio throughout the state on Saturday, but not this actual part of it. So just as like the digital pre-show of the interview that we're gonna air. And not only do we have Bone, but we have Bone's dog back there in the background too. Who's your dog? What kind of dog is that?
Oh, that's Louis. That's he's our Cavapoo. He's
Okay.
he's a good dog. He's been 15 pounds for the last 2 years. We took him to the vet yesterday and got him up to 16. So he's gaining some weight.
Sounds like me. Has he been eating a lot, since Halloween?
Oh yeah, he's been loading up on carbs, so he's been doing all right.
Would you say that this weight is is this muscle? I mean, is he getting stronger, or is this kind of just like, wasted calories and pounds?
Just fat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that we got a 1 month old around the house, it's just a bunch of people being lazy all the time.
Yeah, I hear that. I hear that. That time of year too. Well, happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving. Our 2-year-old torments him nonstop, but that's okay. So, but he's doing all right.
He probably likes it. So like in his mind, this is, like if you ever watch dogs play, like they bite each other and stuff. So it's, what's a kid gonna do? Pull their tail a little bit.
Yeah.
Big game this week, Bone. Big game against the Auburn Tigers. I don't want you to talk recruiting until we start doing the radio part of this, but I've had some bad memories down there. I've had some good memories down there. I've been there twice when Alabama's won that I can remember. The Derrick Henry game and then Sean Alexander game. I've been there. The game where Brody got sacked 11 or 12 times. That was not fun.
I was there. Yeah, I think I left and at some point went to a bar.
Yeah,
and watched the rest of the game. But
drank your sorrows away.
I mean, it wasn't really a blowout type game, but you just knew, you're just like, there's no chance that Alabama's offensive line was going to be able to block. I won't say the guy's name, but I know he had a rough patch that night. But it was there have been some tough games down at Auburn. I think I've been to one where they did win. I think that was one where I think it was Trent Richardson's second or third year. D. Milner
that blowout game.
It was a blowout win. I know nice. D. Milner had I think he had a pick six in the game.
Nice.
It was a big blowout win, and obviously, you go back and think about the 2008 game. After Alabama had lost 6 in a row, they kind of just took it all out on Auburn that night. 38 to nothing.
36.
36-0.
Yeah. Mike and the gang. Mike Johnson and Baron Huber, our friends, were involved in that one.
So, and I wrote this the other day. Alabama's at 11-4. Since then. So it's been a pretty good run for for the Tide since that night. But it's always a difficult place to play. I mean, we've seen some games come down to the wire, with unbelievable Alabama teams and not so good Auburn teams. And I was talking to a recruit the other day, Ryan Williams, who is an Alabama commitment, going to be at Auburn this weekend. He was telling me, he said, it really doesn't matter. He goes, I've been watching this game my whole life, and he's like, Auburn can be 2-11, and Alabama can be 11-0. And
yeah, right.
It's going to be a tight game.
You
just never know. You never know what ticks. Heck, Alabama blew Auburn out last year. Auburn was first. They scored on the first possession of the game. Up 7-0. So, should be a fun game.
Yeah, should be interesting. Since that, well, if you count the 6-game winning streak Auburn had, it's like Alabama with an 11-10 record against those guys in the last 21. So it's pretty even, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not down the middle, but it's close. I mean, so really interesting when these two get together. It's kind of fun. We just don't want to see them bounce back after that. The better team's going to win. And if Alabama does what they need to do, it shouldn't be a nail biter. If they play the kind of football that they've been playing, then I think they'll be fine. And I don't see this team's taking a step back. I just don't see it.
The worst thing that happened last weekend was New Mexico State winning that game.
Yeah, unless we blow them out, unless we just kick their ass, then it would be the best thing ever.
I mean, Alabama is, they're such a far superior team than Auburn is, right now. You just kind of, worry that they're going to go in with a big head, knowing, New Mexico State just won this game. We're blowing out all these opponents. They need to stay focused. They need to go in there, play their game, and they do that, then they'll walk out of there with a comfortable victory. But
that's what I'm saying, Bone.
But like we always say, it's a loud environment. I don't know how loud the fans were in Auburn last weekend for the game against the Aggies, but they're going to be up for the game against the Tide this weekend.
Mm-hmm. Let's get out on them early and make it like that blowout game. I'd love to see us give them one of those country ass whoopings in Auburn for once. Instead of they're normally in Tuscaloosa, but this would be a great year to do it down there. And then they got to come play us at our place next year. But that's next year. But we're going to talk about that. Let's get the radio part of this show started. So all you guys, we're going to Saturday right now when you hear this drum beat. That's what this drum beat means. Welcome back to the original Bama Football Tailgate Show as we preview the Iron Bowl. Alabama and Auburn playing on the Plains, 2:30. The Crimson Tide are looking for an 11-1 season, and they want to stay alive for the college football playoff. Auburn looking to play spoiler after a disappointing loss last week. Our show's presented by Yuengling Lager, America's oldest brewery, and this remote presented by Screwball, the original peanut butter whiskey. And as we look over there, on the other side of the camera, and for those of you guys listening on radio, you recognize this voice from On3 and Bama Online, our longtime friend and guest, Andrew Bone, to talk recruiting. What's up, Bone? Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. How you been? You all right?
I'm doing great. I'm ready for this football game. I think everyone's ready for this football game. And the question that I have for you is as I look at the newlifeart.com promo code Bama Tailgate, 25% off your orders there right now. Could Alabama get a Daniel Moore out of this game? And let's talk about the recruiting battles that these two teams are involved in as well.
I mean, you never know. They might get a Daniel Moore out of this one. It just kind of depends on who's going to make a big play out there, and will Daniel Moore decide he wants to make a lot of memories out of it. So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, you look at Alabama and Auburn. I would say during the Brian Harsin years, there just wasn't a lot of juice between the two sides. I mean, Alabama was, they were battling Georgia and LSU and Ohio State for top end recruits, which they still do to this day. But with Hugh Freeze coming in, I think more so right off the bat. Back in December, he was going after Alabama commitments. He was going after top end guys. We saw kind of a late surge there with Auburn with Tony Mitchell, with James Smith and Clay Rousseau. Even though they had been visiting throughout the season, they certainly became even bigger targets for Hugh Freeze right off the bat. And even though he didn't land those guys, we kind of knew that over the next year and upcoming years, things were going to be a little bit tougher. Alabama wasn't going to be able to just take whoever they wanted and not have to worry really about their in-state foe. And now we're seeing with Hugh Freeze, he's got a staff that's certainly recruiting hard. You got a lot of backing on the NIL front as well. But at the end of the day, kids are still going to pick where they want to go, and we've seen some kids end up committing to Alabama this cycle. We've seen some commit to Auburn. We've seen Auburn be able to flip Perry Thompson from Foley from Alabama. But we're not seeing, as far as late in this process, there's not really a ton of recruiting battles between the two sides as far as uncommitted prospects. You look at a guy like Favor Edwin, who's an offensive tackle out of Georgia, just set an official visit to Alabama for December the 8th. Auburn's been, kind of considered the favorite for him, maybe over the last month or so, maybe the last 2 months. But, a lot kind of depends on, how hard will Alabama, make a really strong run at this kid. This kid that didn't play high school football until this season. So he's a kid that's kind of a work in progress, but he's 6'8", 290 pounds. So there's a lot to work with there. He just may not see the field for a couple of seasons, but that's a kid that we could easily end up seeing a battle between the two sides. One in-state kid that might be at Auburn this weekend. I know the Auburn side's reported that he'll be there, but I think it's still kind of up in the air. Is Kevin Riley, in-state running back from Tuscaloosa County, currently committed to Miami, but Alabama's been pushing hard for him. He says it's an Alabama-Miami battle right now, but will we potentially see Auburn get in it late? And then I think the biggest one that we're following closely is Ryan Williams. Ryan's been committed to Alabama for over a year. He's one of the top overall players in the country. He's in the 2025 class. There's some speculation that he might reclassify and jump in that 2024 class, but has not made that decision quite yet. Auburn's been coming after him very hard for a long time. They're trying to flip him. He'll be on the plains this weekend. He has also been back to Tuscaloosa 6 times this season, including the last home game. He says all the right things. He says he's solid. He says he's recruiting others to Alabama. He wants to, play for Nick Saban, play for Holman Wiggins, the wide receivers coach. So everything that he has said has made us believe that he is solid with the decision. And I think he's told Alabama, hey, there's nothing to worry about here. But you go onto an Auburn website or read their message boards. I mean, they are very confident that he is going to flip to Auburn, which, I don't buy that just yet. I think he's a pretty firm commitment, but we do know that Auburn is going to continue to, do everything they can to flip him away from Alabama. They've had a couple wins on the recruiting trail for Alabama against Alabama this cycle. They're going to try again, but in the end, I do think Ryan sticks with the Crimson Tide.
Huh? Are there any players that Alabama is going after who have committed to Auburn, or is it just all Auburn trying to basically clip away Alabama blue chippers?
Yeah, I think the only one that Alabama's gone after, throughout the season. And now we've seen some Auburn commitments in Tuscaloosa for games this season. DeMarcus Riddick, in-state linebacker from Chilton County, who back in July committed to Auburn over Alabama. Now he was committed to Georgia, but a lot of people expected him to go to Alabama. In kind of the final 3 or 4 weeks, momentum shifted strongly in favor of Auburn. So he commits to Auburn. He's been to Tuscaloosa twice this fall, but it's kind of weird because there's not really a lot going on between the two sides. I think, he just wanted to come in for the game, LSU game, Texas game, 2 pretty big games that were going down at Bryant-Denny. And that was really it. I mean, there wasn't really anything going on between the two sides before or after those visits. So don't really see anything happening there. We've seen Malik Blockton, defensive lineman out of Pike Road, visit Alabama a couple times. And, I know he's come out and said he's a solid commitment, but, we really hadn't seen a major, major push from the Alabama side with Malik Blockton to this point. Now, I don't know if that's ever going to happen. Probably not. But I know that he is, considered a solid commitment. The only Auburn commitment that I would say is still, in communication with Alabama is Perry Thompson. And, this is a kid that has been committed to, was committed to Alabama for over a year prior to his flip to Auburn. And, I know that he has a lot of good relationships with coaches, players, commitments, connected to Alabama. And, he's been to Tuscaloosa twice this season. I don't know if he's going to flip, but the contact has remained between him and Alabama. So as far as Alabama still pursuing any of the Auburn commitments, he would be the only one at this time, as far as guys that they would still leave the door open for. And I'm sure that despite how things went down. Now you got to remember, back in July when he flipped to Auburn, there's a kid that was telling Alabama that he was very solid, that he was not going to flip, that there was nothing to worry about. Even when he said that he was going to Auburn for their final weekend in July, instead of going to Alabama for their big cookout, they were trying to get all their top commitments to attend.
Mm-hmm.
I thought there was some major concern on that front at that time. I was like, there's no way if he goes to Auburn instead of Alabama, he's flipping to Auburn. But he kept telling Alabama, I'm solid. I'm not flipping. He ends up going to Auburn, flips his commitment that weekend. And, despite all that, Alabama is still very much interested in Perry. And they would, I think they would welcome him back with open arms. But it's going to be a pretty big challenge. I just don't see him flipping once again, even though we've seen some crazy,
seen a lot
of crazier things happen. Go back to the Reuben Foster days. You can go back to Cyrus Kwanjo announcing on National Signing Day for Auburn. For probably one of the few signing day commitments that I've ever seen where the kid does not sign with the school; they sign with another school a couple of days later. So crazier things have happened, but I don't see this happening.
Well, Bone, got a lot of love for you guys over at On3. Teamed up with you last year. Bama Online came into existence. You guys are blowing it up over there. Tell everyone how they can follow you guys at Bama Online.
Yeah, you can go to BamaOnline.com. Check out all of our content. You can go on there and sign up for $1 for 1 month of unlimited access to our site, to our message board. And that's kind of where I live. I live on the message board. So if you want to talk to me every single hour of the day, that is where I am, on the BOL Roundtable. So come check us out and read all of our great team coverage from our guys on the football, basketball front right now. We kind of bring it every single day on Bama Online. So go check it out. $1 for 1 month, or we got a special Iron Bowl deal right now. You can sign up for a 1 year subscription for half the cost of the of what it is normally. So go check it out and go see us at BamaOnline.com.
All right, we'll do that. And guys, don't forget right now with the holidays coming up, a Bama Online subscription would be great. Team that up with New Life Art and use the code Bama Tailgate. You get 25% off all purchases. That takes care of your Alabama family member. You want to make somebody happy. You got Bone for the message board and all that stuff. And then, obviously New Life Art. We decorate our houses like museums from New Life Art. And Bone, you use that as well. 25% off all purchases. So all we're doing here is just giving. This is the season of giving on the original Bama Football Tailgate Show. All right, guys, when we come back, we're going to talk more Alabama and Auburn. Iron Bowl coverage continues, and we will return after this.